Lately, we've been talking about cars that we've recently reviewed that aim to disrupt the market. Now, however hostile or volatile that may sound, it's actually a pretty good thing because for the dealer partners, they're all about giving the best performance and the best features for the best price, while you and I are sitting at home just thinking, "Aber, show me what you got," which is actually a great thing. And lately, it's also been about Chinese cars and seeing how they stack up against Japanese cars, which, to be honest with you, I think is actually a pretty big honor because you always want to be the front runner. This 2022 Changan CS35 is aiming to do just that with some pretty compelling arguments. Do you need help purchasing your car insurance? Head on over to autodeal.com.ph/car-insurance. Here, you can compare prices and customize your insurance coverage from many of the Philippines' top providers. When you've selected the insurance that's best for you, simply fill out the application and complete the transaction with ease through Visa, MasterCard, GCash, GrabPay, or PayPal, and receive your policy within the next business day. Get the best deal on insurance with Autodeal. Now, if you were to look at the front clip of other Chinese brands that are available in the Philippines, like Geely or GAC, you'll understand that they want to make an immediate statement with a large grille, sleek headlamps, with apparent European styling. The Changan, you'd think, is none different, but you'd be wrong. You've got a large contrasting grille, yes. You've got skinny lights that look like it will cut through the wind, yes. And then some accents found down below, yes too, with fog lamps found on either side. And you'd think that'd be it. Not quite. Gimmick or not, there's actually a light that stretches the entire face of the automobile. Chinese or not, I think it looks damn good. The red accent up front actually has company down the side in the form of roof rails up on top. You got repeaters on the side mirror, a lot of cladding above the wheels, and of course, the red accent found down below, which looks great against this wolf color that they call. I quite like that. And then there's also the fact that by the C-pillar, this area is blacked out, which gives it a floating roof line. It's quite sporty, actually, if you're looking at it from the side. You've also got disc brakes all around, 18s with 45 series tires, and an expected amount of ground clearance on a subcompact SUV. You know, I don't know if you can tell, but it's not exactly a very large automobile. It's only about 14 feet long, 6 feet wide, and about 5 feet 5 inches tall. To simplify it, it's roughly the same dimensions as a GT Coolray. In fact, the wheelbase of this car is exactly the same as a GT Coolray. How about that? Then when you get to the rear, you realize that it's a very good complement to the front because, well, look at the shape. It's very, very good looking. It's got some Porsche, Audi/Lambo feel to it. It's very well thought out. And it's got some of the cool features that I love on the exterior of this automobile, such as, well, of course, the shark's fin antenna, yes, but it's got a pretty cool spoiler with the third brake light. But what I do love is the fact that you've got twin exhausts found down below that are real exhausts, by the way. But my favorite, absolute favorite part are the lights. Just like the front, the lights here at the rear spawn the entire width of the automobile. And then, during the day, you'll notice that this line right here actually is your third brake light. That's actually pretty fantastic. And then at night, when your lights are on, this becomes your perpetual park light. It's just so darn good looking. I love it. When you open her up, no power tailgate, but when you do open her up, you are looking at about 400 liters of space, which is very good for a car of this size. And then obviously when you fold the second row, which you can, it will reveal a total of about 950 liters of space. What I do love about the rear also is the fact that when you lift this cover up, you'll find your tools here underneath, but also a perfect storage area and a locking mechanism for your tonneau that is available for the higher end models. And that I've never seen before in any automobile, and I think that's a really, really cool feature. Not just against the cool ray, but if space is what you're also looking for, try our online comparo at autodeal.com.ph and pit the CS35 against the likes of the MG ZST, Kia Stonic, and perhaps even the Chevrolet Tracker to find the most generous boot space from your picks. When you pop the hood, you will find a 1.4-liter four-cylinder, not three-cylinder, but four-cylinder gasoline engine that is turbocharged, mated to a 7-speed DCT that produces a total of 158 horses and 260 newton-meters of torque. Now, if those figures sound familiar, again, it's with the cool ray. Now, on paper, it sounds really, really good. It's just that it happens to also be mated to a 7-speed DCT. Now, it's that DCT that kind of gets to me. It's actually one of two things, which we'll touch on the DCT a little bit later. The second thing is, well, you've seen the exterior of the automobile, right? You've seen the side, you've seen the rear, you've seen the color. To be honest with you, it actually looks darn great. With the red accents out on the side, I think it's a winner. It's inside that got me going, allow me to show you. It's the color scheme. It sure is red in here, isn't it? Whereas the outside is predominantly black with red accents, it seems like it's black and red. And I think, honestly, I do believe that the red is a little bit of an overkill. I wish they mimicked the outside with more black and just red accents to keep it just as sexy as possible. Nonetheless, the seats are pretty comfortable. They're not overly comfortable, and the bolsterings are actually pretty fat, so flat, not fat. So getting in and out of the automobile is actually quite easy. The toys back here include a share of the panoramic sunroof, which is good. The bad part is that you don't share in anything else. For instance, there is only one air vent found down in the center, which could be a problem if you have more than one people back here, which, trust me, I've already had a problem with. And then second is that there is only one USB charging port, which again could be a problem when there are people back here, especially children. When they start screaming, "Dad, Antonio did this! Dad, Alessandra did this! Don't make me go back there! I will cancel ice cream for it!" Sorry, it was a very long day. At least you do have two cup holders found in the center armrest and then bottle holders on either door. But really, that's not much else to talk about in the rear apart from the speakers on the other door. The greatest thing about this automobile is definitely not here. It's up front, and that you really have got to see. Here is where it gets interesting. See, I will admit that we don't review a lot of European cars. And if we did, then this would definitely look familiar in the form of, let's say, an Audi and a BMW. But as it is, I've become somewhat spoiled and accustomed to seeing screens like this as standard in a Chinese car. Apart from the full digital instrument cluster, you get a wide 10-inch infotainment system, which may not be connected seamlessly, but has a, well, rudimentary semblance to production EVs. Sadly, no Apple or Android capabilities, but there is screen mirroring, with an around view system that activates as well when you engage not just reverse, but left and right indicators as well. And then there's the fact that you can change the theme of the display from science to sports to fashion. Why? I have no idea, but why not? I mean, it's not hurting anybody. The flat bottom steering wheel has buttons for your infotainment and not just cruise, but adaptive cruise. The aluminum buttons below the main vents control your air, and underneath that, a cubby for your mobile phone with wireless charging, I might add. Then the aluminum pattern continues down the middle with little to no piano black plastics, I might add, which seems to work very well. And it really feels well built too. The flat bottom steering wheel has buttons for your infotainment as well as not just cruise, but adaptive cruise. And I might add that the adaptive cruise in this CS35 Plus works as well as that of the Honda Sensing, in the fact that it will follow everyone and come to a complete stop and then return again to whatever speed the car in front of you is actually going at. It's quite amazing. As excited as I am about the interior, it's the DCT or dual clutch transmission that I mentioned earlier that I would like to get on about. And we're going to do that right now on a quick drive. Before we do, however, standard procedure that I ask for your help in giving us a subscription and a like perhaps on this video so we can create videos just for you guys and hopefully reach that 1 million subscriber mark. We know we can do it with your help. Much like a student driver behind the throttle for the first time, the DCT is on, and it's always very on. The torque kicks in at a very low rev actually, and you really feel it. It's not just Jack, but even my son, who was I was driving around inside this car, they actually commented they think that I need to go back to driving school. Thanks a lot, man. But what I'm trying to get at is that when you're stuck in traffic, that might be something that will definitely take some getting used to. Regardless of how feather light you may be at the very beginning, yeah, it's gonna take some time. But in relation to that, the power that it supplies when you floor it is just ridiculous. Turbo kicks in, it feels really good. So it's like a tiny but very capable car, and that I quite like. However, that does have a bit of a drawback, you see. So because that it likes to jump forward even when in traffic, the fuel consumption figures are not going to be stellar. I'll be honest with you, I actually expected a little bit more, but because of traffic, and it has been piling up inside the city, unfortunately we were only able to do about 7 kilometers per liter inside the city. Now, I figure, however, that will not only double, possibly even triple when you're on the highway. Now, the throttle and the way that you drive, obviously that can change because, well, you can adjust to it. What you can't really adjust is like the NVH inside an automobile. It's not as if you can put, the children's flooring inside a car to make it as quiet as possible. Luckily though, inside the Changan CS35 Plus, the NVH is actually pretty darn good. Cabin isolation is good. You don't hear the road even though you are rolling on 18s with 45 series tires, not just 50 or 55s, 45 series tires. And I'm going on roads that aren't really the smoothest things on the planet. There I go saying it again. But truthfully, it's actually quite quiet in here, to be honest with you. And it's also not as if that they're rolling on tires that nobody knows what the tire brand is. These 45s are GTs. But okay, not everything is all peachy and rosy inside the automobile. For instance, I find that the driving position takes a little bit of getting used to because, well, you do have a power seat that will move you forward and back, yes, but the rest is manual. This is manual and moving up and down is manual, which, okay, it's not really an issue. My issue is that the steering wheel, although telescopic, it doesn't actually come out of the dash as much as I'd want it to. So it's not like a Honda where it actually really does stick out. So even when I find my comfortable seating position for my legs, and yeah, I know I see a short joke coming out somewhere out there, but my hands feel just a little bit stretched out. Obviously, I can change that if I move a little bit closer, but then my legs are kind of popping in a little bit. There's that, but at the very least, there is something that will compensate for the steering wheel because you can actually change the steering power mode of the car from standard to comfortable to sport. Not comfortable. Truthfully, it may sound like I'm nitpicking at the automobile, but in actuality, I'm not. I'm actually showing you the things that you can accomplish inside this automobile rather than the things that you can't. And the reason for that is because I'm pleasantly surprised that with all of these features included, it's the price that really gets me. Not only because it hails from the same country, but as we see it, the main competitor for the CS35 Plus would definitely be the Coolray. I mean, it's got the same wheelbase, it's got similar torque figures, and then it's also got a buttload of tech. The main difference, however, would be its price. See, what impressed us most about the Geely Coolray then was its price. Even more so now, this CS35, because where the Geely Coolray starts is actually where the CS35 tops out, which is 999,000 Philippine pesos for the top of the line. Just 1,000 pesos more than where the Geely Coolray starts. Not all of its points is enough argument to make it the front runner, but I'm pretty sure that it can swing more than a handful of votes.